there was this television movie called Their Eyes Are Watching God, directed by Darnell Martin. So a little bit of trivia, I was the director's assistant on that job. So Darnell, I was her assistant. And the cinematographer, James Laxton, who shot Moonlight, he was the cinematographer's assistant. So that was our first jobs out of LA. And then, and it's good, I get to shout out Darnell Martin. So I was here for a year, I had no money. You know, when you were a director's assistant, you get paid $100 a day, PA rate. And I didn't have a car, but I got to drive Darnell around because she's a New Yorker. When she left, she bought me a car. Darnell Martin, director of Cadillac Records, bought me a car when she left LA. And so I did it, but here's where the story gets shitty. Because so then, for the second year, I was working in development at Harpo Films, and I was like 24, 25 at that point. And all I knew about filmmaking was film school, where you enroll and this semester I'm gonna make this short, next semester I'm gonna make that short. Florida State's a very good film program. They pay for everything. We shot everything on film. It's a great training ground. And then I got to LA and nobody gives a shit about anything you wanna do. And for those 2 years, I kind of like fell out of love with filmmaking because I thought, I don't want to be nobody's assistant. I want to blah, 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 blah.
And what age range was that?
I was 25, which is the worst thing, a 25-year-old in LA who's, one, a director's assistant on a movie produced by Oprah Winfrey, starring Halle Berry, within 3 months of graduating, and then is working in Harpo Films, reading books, reading screenplays. I thought, that ain't good enough. But then this really cool thing happened. So you're right, I'm telling my bio now. So I had gotten this grant for $5,000 when I graduated from Florida State. It was how I was able to afford to move out here. And it was this thing called the Pathfinder Award. And then when I realized that I wasn't working out at Harpo, they had a 401k. This is like 2007, 2006. And the 401k, Ms. Winfrey has great benefits at her company. She is very good to her employees. My dumb ass, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna cash out my 401k. So I took like the 55, 60% tax hit you have to pay when you cash out a 401k early, but it was so robust that I had like $7,000 just in the year and a half I worked for her. And I was like, now I'm gonna do what I wanted to do when I graduated, which is, I'm gonna do what the white people do. I'm gonna go to Europe and go backpacking. I wanna see the world. However, I learned very quickly that $7,000 would not go very far backpacking in Europe. So I took trains around the US for a whole year. I gave my car, the car Darnell gave to me, I paid it for it. I gave it to some church, like a church charity. And I just took trains for a year. I go to San Francisco for 2 months. I go to New York, DC, Chicago, went back to Florida.
And what was the intention? What was the drive behind
I just
trains?
felt like I lived my whole life in this very small world in Miami. I hadn't seen anything of the world. Falling in love with cinema and film school, I realized, wow, it's a very big world, bigger than my 8 blocks. And I was like, I want to see some of that. But I came to LA, and everybody here works in the industry. If you're doing it the proper way, it is furious. You have to be like, I'm gonna get into work at 8:30 before anybody else. I'm gonna leave after everybody else. I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna read. That's work, that's not life. And I was like, you know what? I need just a little bit of life because I've seen these films, I've made a few. I know if I can ingest more of the world, I can reflect more of it. And so I thought, well, I can't go to Europe, but I'm just gonna touch every piece of the US I can. And it was very lonely, but it was very, very beautiful.